What's up, A to Z Sports on a Friday? Gonna have a great show again today because AJ Brown keeps feeding the content machine as he went on Josina Anderson's podcast this week and talked about Mike Vrabel, threw some shade at Mike Vrabel's coaching style. So we're gonna play some of AJ Brown's comments and react to that as well. I asked you guys, is it fair or foul for AJ Brown to call out Mike Vrabel like he did? So we'll play that video throughout the first part of the show this morning, and then we're going to discuss Downing and Todd Downing and where you stand with Todd Downing, because Teron Davenport went straight Philly on him and asked him, how do you feel about fans calling for your job? And Todd Downing responded to that. We'll play that video as well to see how you guys feel about the Titans offensive coordinator right now. And then it is Friday, so ain't that good news? We'll wrap up our good news on this Friday to send us to the weekend. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about Tua at some point today, because that was a massive storyline yesterday and this morning around the NFL. But Zach, welcome in. How's everything going?
Going good on a Friday, ready to get into the weekend. Got really good football ahead on the slate tomorrow in college, and obviously all Sunday long, and make sure we got our pregame, halftime, and postgame show surrounding the Titans-Colts game. You know, this is the first high noon game, so we kind of settled back into second. Well, yeah, I guess
you were first for you.
First for me there. But settled back into the regular schedule, and it's a big game. And you know, we usually would talk about the game heading into the game, but today we're going to lead with something a little bit different. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. That's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out the YouTube links segment by segment. That's segment by segment for all of our Twitter followers at A to Z Sports. So follow us there and subscribe to our YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search A to Z Sports Nashville. If you're watching this, you're already on our channel. So push that A to Z Sports logo and subscribe to this channel. We got great content, whether it's post-game press conferences, whether it's in the locker room with our sports reporter, Titans reporter, Sam Phelan, who has done a great job through this early part of this season to get the best content possible on the internet when it comes to the Titans. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, A to Z Sports Nashville. Also on Facebook, you can go ahead and give us a follow there. We are inching closer to 100,000 followers on our Facebook page, which is very exciting. We've been churning along for a long, long time on there. And how that works is you guys distribute the show. We pop up in your friend's Facebook feed, and you're like, oh, wow, this is Titans content that I'd like to be a part of. Maybe it's Eagles content that our people are going to get involved with today with AJ Brown because of that trade in the offseason. So share the show, bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this Friday. Let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media, as we are Nashville's on-demand sports.network, going live every weekday morning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can find links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline. Also links on our Instagram, and hit us up on TikTok as well. But we got to thank our sponsors, because they make it happen for our show and they help out you guys. Like Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, rates, and service. More at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation at 800-800-4600. Zach, before we dive into A.J. Brown and what he said about his former coach, Mike Vrabel, Tua's injury last night, a very scary situation. I feel like everybody who saw what happened on Sunday of him stumbling after smacking his head on the turf against the Bills, playing 4 days later, and then one sack of Tua getting slung down, head against the ground there in Cincinnati, and quickly going into a posturing or fencing position where Amazon showed that replay over and over on the stream broadcast last night. Very scary situation for Tua, but the Dolphins reporting that He has been released from the hospital already, which seems quick to me, but released from the hospital at the University of Cincinnati. But what was your reaction watching that last night on Thursday Night Football?
Well, I think my reaction is a buildup. The Miami Dolphins have been a lightning rod ever since, Tyreek Hill got that massive contract. They got a brand new head coach. It's Miami. And I was actually talking to a buddy last night while we were watching the game about, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, like you had Dan Marino, which is a huge part. And then before you had the Dolphins that were really, really good in the 70s. They were going to Super Bowls. And then there was a huge lull after Marino. This is kind of the first time that this era of football has seen there be buzz around, obviously Tua, because he went to Alabama where he was drafted, the tank for Tua situation, the Brian Flores situation, right? And then you get Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Water, you've got a good defense, and then you start undefeated. So all of these things, I think, kind of built up on this storyline on top of the stumbling from last week, which the NFL Players Association, they filed essentially a grievance against the NFL to let's go back and re-look at our concussion protocol, because just like anything, people get comfortable. Companies get comfortable. You sit there and you set rules and regulations. You do things 100%, and then all of a sudden you start dropping down to 80%. You start dropping down to 70%. And it's the responsibility of the company and the people involved to make sure you do things at 100%. And I think that the concussion protocol, after Tua stumbled against the Buffalo Bills, after they went into the locker room at halftime, that needs to be reassessed, because he probably shouldn't have played last night.
No, it's being investigated. And here's where the shadiness went on. And you mentioned the Dolphins organization not having a ton of buzz around it. Well, there's been some shadiness around it with Stephen Ross and Tom Brady, that tampering situation, then the situation with how they asked, allegedly, Brian Flores to tank games for extra checks. And now you have this, because this, Zach, in press boxes around the NFL, when a player gets hurt, somebody announces over the press box PA, Zach Cunningham, questionable with an elbow. Like, that's announced in the press box, right? So reporters can report that, and that goes over the broadcast as well. Initially against Buffalo, Tua was announced, Tua questionable with a head. Then he came back, and then it was a back injury after he came back. Because let's think about this. Under the NFL's concussion protocol, the fastest a person can return from concussion protocol is 5 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Really, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 4 days is where you play on Thursday Night Football in that turnaround. So because they ruled it a back injury, the Dolphins did not have Tua in a concussion protocol, which means he was eligible to play on Thursday Night Football. There's some shadiness going on there. And if you look at the hit last night, it was a lighter hit to the head. It was a shoulder than the head, where the Buffalo hit was a bigger smack on the turf with his helmet. And so that tells me subconcussive hits is a thing that goes around there too. And usually that only gets you in trouble when you currently have a situation going on. So very scary situation with Tua. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but it's turning into a situation like Wes Welker or Sidney Crosby that we've seen in the past, where they need to take their damn time with Tua before he comes back and plays in a game, because 2 concussions within 5 days is terrifying for any person, let alone a quarterback or a pro athlete.
But you also have to look at the actions, right? So he did come back and play the second half against the Buffalo Bills, right? So he played 2 quarters. He was released and discharged from the hospital last night, right? If it would have been, and you have to trust the medical professionals. Look, I don't know, and this would be a great question of, are you more likely immediately after concussion to get another concussion, or days after you get a concussion? Like, what is the probability? That's a neuroscience question that I do not know.
The probability is that it's easier to get a second concussion or further
once
the brain
you have a
damage.
first concussion, right? But I'm looking for the timeline, right? Because that's the important thing, because he's done both. He played right after his first concussion, and then he obviously sustained another concussion just 4 short days after. There's definitely some movement. Look, I think if the Miami Dolphins started 1-2 instead of 3-0, I don't know if he plays last night, right? So there's there's that football nature of it. They're trying to
Yeah.
compete and they're trying to win games. And last night, unfortunately, it was at the hands of Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins are already under investigation, but absolutely need to be under the microscope for some shady things they've been doing. I think the way this was handled Sunday and then last night is a shady situation there. But all right, Zach, let's go ahead and flip over to and yeah, there can be a lot more serious thing. As somebody, Randy says, you can die from another concussion while you already have a concussion. Like there are situations like that. And luckily with Tua, it seems like he is responding well and everything, his vitals are fine. He was conscious as he was going to the hospital, had movement in all of his extremities, as the Dolphins did tweet out last night.
So here's the one thing I'll say. We are much more aware of all of these situations now because we watch it 4 times on the replay on Amazon. We've seen, the NFL go through, the lawsuits, and we're just more educated with modern medicine, right? So we have to use those, the intelligence that we've gained over time to protect these players, because that's been the thing on football, right? Is that head injuries are not good and they cause CTE. We've seen numerous Junior Seau, Aaron Hernandez. I mean, the list just goes on and on of the long-term effects just for our entertainment. And we've got to protect the human side of things.
Yeah, the fencing was terrifying. I mean, that was scary. Like with his hands like they were, it's pretty scary situation there. And then Ryan adds to this, and then he flew on a plane, right? Like you had, if he had a concussion, and if you look, and
doctors are involved though somehow, some way,
right? Unfortunately, and look, I was messaging with our contact Lindsay at the Bone and Joint Institute last night, right after this happened. They do have a concussion specialist, but unfortunately, the concussion specialist has a different schedule today that can't allow us to do a doc talk about this because, yeah, I mean, if you talk to most doctors who watched the play against the Bills, that's a concussion. I mean, that checks all the boxes for concussions right there, but the Dolphins ruled it as a back injury when he came back. But let's talk about A.J. Brown because that is the topic and the lead title of the show today. A.J. Brown throwing shade on Mike Vrabel's coaching style. This clip is from Josina Anderson's podcast called The Crew. And so she had A.J. Brown on, and A.J. was talking, this was on Twitter last night, making the rounds, A.J. Brown discussing the difference between Mike Vrabel and Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
And Vrabel, I got a lot of respect for him, but he's the Belichick way. Everything is lock in. No fun over there. We're gonna get the job done. And over here, man, it's just he. But over here, he just he just letting us have fun, do what we do. Let us express our personality, and I think that's huge. You want somebody to express themselves and be themselves, so the real them can show on the game on the football field.
So there's A.J. Brown there. I wanted to give you guys that video. We will react to it. We will play it again on A.J. Brown and his thoughts on Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. But first, let me tell you guys all about the Bone and Joint Institute. As I mentioned, they do have a concussion specialist there on staff in Franklin at the Bone and Joint Institute. So whenever you get hurt in life or whatever it might be doing, sports, your kids getting hurt playing sports, or your parents, your grandparents getting hurt in life, or whatever it might be, they've got somebody who specializes in that injury right there on staff. So go see him in Franklin at the Bone and Joint Institute. They also have satellite clinics across Williamson County right now in Brentwood, Nolensville, and in Thompson Station. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports were powered by BetMGM, our title sponsor. Look, I hit a parlay last night because of that Jamar Chase catch. 4-leg parlay, baby. And I was down and out because I needed Jamar Chase over 70 yards. That last catch saved me at the very end of the game. Won a couple $100 on that. So that was really nice. Thank you, BetMGM. You can use the promo code and you can be kind of a little bit like me, at least last night. Who knows what it's going to be this weekend, though, right? So that's the fun of gambling. You obviously have to gamble responsibly, and you can with BetMGM. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports in the promo code tab. When you sign up, you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users.
All right, so a lot of comments so far, just reacting before we even ask our question. But A.J. Brown throws shade on Mike Vrabel. We're going to play the video again, and here's the question. Is it fair or foul for A.J. Brown to call out Mike Vrabel's no-fun coaching style? Here's once again A.J. Brown on Josina Anderson's The Crew podcast.
And Vrabel, I got a lot of respect for him, but he's the Belichick way. Everything is lock in. No fun over there. We're gonna get the job done. And over here, man, it's just but over here, he just he just letting us have fun, do what we do. Let us express our personality, and I think that's huge. You want somebody to express themselves and be themselves, so the real them can show on the game on the football field.
So there's A.J. Brown again, thanks to The Crew podcast with Josina Anderson. So fair or foul for A.J. Brown to call out Mike Vrabel's no-fun coaching style? Zach, I see a lot of comments coming in. What are they saying?
Honestly, they're saying fair, to be honest. Fair because it's true from John. Deshaun Washington says it's fair. D. Brown says it's fair. Here's a couple of fouls. Rooney says it's foul. He's not a Titan. Jake says it's foul. The whole AFC Pro Bowl team praised Vrabel. Fair from Xavier. Fair the Belichick way right there. Fair from Danny. Fair from Brock. Fair. So they're getting a ton of fairs. John says fair. Jared says fair. Titans Kyle says fair. Nate John says foul. You want fun go at the beach with.
Did we lose your audio?
And
there we go.
So yeah, overall it looks like there's more fairs. You can kind of check more of the comments, but
yeah, and a lot of fairs it seems like here with this. But Zach, I think this is foul. I think from Mike Vrabel and how he talked about A.J. Brown and their relationship, I call foul on this. All Mike Vrabel did was support A.J. Brown. All Mike Vrabel did was talk and be a friend to A.J. Brown when he needed to be a friend to A.J. Brown and be a good coach to A.J. when A.J. needed it too. He protected A.J. He supported him. He praised A.J. He did all these great things for A.J. Brown. But again, A.J. Brown continues to talk
traded A.J. Brown.
Well, no, Mike Vrabel did not trade A.J. Brown.
Look, they have both said that they are part of all decisions together, right? John Robinson has the ultimate say, but you can't just pick and choose when you want to use that line. You can't just say, well, John Robinson was the man who traded him. Vrabel didn't have anything to do with it. But when you're coming to draft picks, they say that they have a collaboration on it. You can't pick and choose that, Austin.
But no, Mike Vrabel, did he have a role in it? I mean, but did Mike Vrabel...
You can't pick and choose when you want to use that line.
Trades in the offseason are different than like Mike Vrabel saying to John Robinson, which I think happened last week, is go find me a corner who can cover somebody and know what to do. And John Robinson brought in Terrence Mitchell. Like there's a collaboration.
They work together on roster decisions. John Robinson has final say. They've said that numerous times. What I'm telling you is you cannot just pick and choose when you want to use it.
Come on, dude.
Like Vrabel was definitely a part of it. He wasn't the singular reason.
But Zach,
you cannot sit there and tell me that. That's a lie.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't involved in the conversations, but come on. Mike Vrabel didn't want to trade A.J. Brown.
Mention that a part of all your spiel. You got to mention that because A.J. Brown, in the eyes of him, both John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, traded him away within the circumstance.
Well,
so there is that. There is that.
Look, and Honky Tonk says Zach is being paid by AJ. Sometimes it feels like it. Look, was it a mistake?
No, you're just not telling the full story. No, I have to hold you accountable because you're trying to pick and choose when you want to say who does roster moves.
Zach, it's an off-season trade around the draft. Like John Robinson pulls the trigger on that. Is there collaboration about roster decisions? Yes. But when it comes to trading, it's a John Robinson deal. John Robinson sets the parameters and agrees to the deal. And obviously,
Mike, that's not true. But you have to include the head coach into that based on what
But,
they told
Zach,
us, the public, when decisions are made.
I responded to you butting in on my comment by saying, and he traded AJ Brown. No, Mike Vrabel does not have traded away AJ Brown on his resume. John Robinson has that on his resume. We are going to remember John Robinson for trading away AJ Brown if this all crashes and burns. Not Mike Vrabel. Not Mike Vrabel. You will remember Mike Vrabel for playing Terrence Mitchell over Caleb Farley. But John Robinson has this trade on his resume, not Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel is a part of it, though. That's all I wanted you to confirm.
But Zach,
let me ask you: do you feel that Mike Vrabel was not a part of it at all?
Yes, he's the head coach.
That's the point.
But Zach,
out of all
stop
of those,
talking.
That has to be disclosed.
Because I'm responding to what you said. What you said when I was talking, you butted into me by saying, and he traded AJ. No, Mike Vrabel did not trade AJ.
He was a part of it.
But that's not what you said. You said Mike Vrabel traded
You weren't
AJ.
saying any of it. So that's why I had to come in.
All right. Go. Fair or foul for you. What do you think? Because you know everything. Go for it.
No, you can finish what you want to say, but you have to tell the full story.
I'm done.
I think for AJ Brown, of what he said, it's an emotional. I can't sit here and tell AJ Brown how to feel or what it is. I think that it is fair. Here's the one thing, and actually the comments brought this up. I've been in the locker room when Mike Vrabel was the coach. I've seen players have fun. I've seen players respect Mike Vrabel. So I think, and this is my personal opinion on the entire situation, I think that AJ Brown is now with his buddy Jalen Hurts, and that makes him more happy. That is how I look at this scenario. I don't think that this is an attack on Vrabel. I just think AJ Brown, again, I always go back to the relationships. AJ Brown is just in a happier relationship right now. And maybe was it forced? Was it pushed off? Who knows? At the end of the day, I don't think that AJ Brown has malice towards Mike Vrabel. I do think that there still is respect. I just think that AJ Brown, throughout this entire, and it was an up and down scenario, went to Philadelphia. He got to play with his buddy. And at the end of the day, they're having a lot of success early in the season. They're 3-0. Austin, if they're 0-3, I don't know if AJ Brown's doing Josina Anderson podcasts, but if they're 0-3, is this a different tune, right? Is he saying things differently? I also think results. It goes back to the Dolphins situation we talked about earlier. One of the reasons why this is such a massive story is because of all the things surrounding the Miami Dolphins, and they're 3-0. So I think that plays a part, but I've seen players have fun within the Titans organization. Do I think that Mike Vrabel is a, hey, do your job type of guy? Yeah, I do. But it's obviously gotten him a lot of success.
Let's also remember this. Mike Vrabel's the head coach, and Ben Jones pies everybody in the face on their birthday and put baby powder in Mike Vrabel's hair on Mike Vrabel's birthday. And I've seen AJ Brown have fun with Ryan Tannehill and post on social media and do the whole white men can't jump comparison. So here's what I think about this. Let's remember who AJ Brown is and how he's acted and how he's emotionally responded in the past. AJ Brown got teary-eyed and started getting emotional when Marcus Mariota got benched because he felt responsibility for that, right? Then AJ Brown became really, really good friends with Ryan Tannehill. And they were having a lot of fun doing that, scoring touchdowns, hitting, swinging home runs out of the fence in the end zone. Mike Vrabel didn't have any problem with that. The Titans have plenty of fun under Mike Vrabel. Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter, is working on a story right now about how the Titans play an elementary school recess game in the middle of the locker room. And Mike Vrabel doesn't care about that. And so you look for that story later on this weekend, A2ZSports.com. AJ Brown had plenty of fun with the Titans, but AJ Brown falls in love fast with new people. And yes, Jalen Hurts is his best friend back from high school days, right? So AJ Brown falls in love with the next thing and then looks at the previous thing and tends to hate on it.
Honeymoon phase. They haven't had their first fight. The Philadelphia Eagles, ever since he went to Philadelphia, they're undefeated. They haven't lost a game. They haven't gone through any adversity or turmoil.
But we have to realize and remember, AJ Brown is young and he's also a little emotionally immature. Like he responds in an unreasonable way to things sometimes. Like the Titans.
Yeah, I think you can absolutely say that, right? Look at his Twitter.
Yes, right. And the Titans allowed AJ Brown to flirt with the Padres about playing baseball in the offseason. Hell, AJ Brown went live.
AJ Brown still said that when he was with the Eagles. He recently said that.
No, I know that, but AJ Brown's again saying that Mike Vrabel's a no fun. That's BS. Like Mike Vrabel has had one of the highest players on his highest profile players on his team have a podcast under Barstool Sports for the entire time that Vrabel's been the head coach. And there's been documented experiences of Vrabel referencing the podcast in team meetings. Like nobody else is out here saying that there's no fun.
I will say on that, we have spoken a lot about the exterior. What I think AJ Brown, and this is something that you or I or none of the chat or none of the media can actually speak on, and that's the interior. And the interior, as I always say, is the measure of a player comes when he's in meetings, comes when he's on time or on a schedule, what they're required to do through walkthrough, what they're expected to do, how they're expected to act during practice, how a coach reacts to a mistake during practice. All of those type of things, the media doesn't get to watch all of the practices. Fans don't get to watch all of the practices. Fans and media do not get to go into meeting rooms. So I do think to give AJ Brown, I think we are on the same page, Austin, honeymoon phase, that he falls in love quick and he's deep in love right now. But looking at his previous relationship with the Titans, the one thing that we cannot speak on is what happens behind closed doors. And if those are the words that he chooses to say of no fun, then there's probably something to that, but not all to that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it's week 3 with AJ and Philly. Like, of course they're having fun because they're 3-0, like you said, right? And like the Titans have, I just think it's ridiculous that AJ Brown is saying the Titans have no fun and Vrabel's a no fun guy when I've pointed out several ways the Titans have fun and Mike Vrabel has fun. I just think it's AJ propping up his AJ Brown doesn't know how to prop up his new love without tearing down the old past. That's typically what he's done.
Well, and don't go on Josina Anderson podcasts, right? When you're 3-0 and everything's hunky-dory. And, I think here's the hard part. And this is where people get upset at me because, Titans fans, and look, you get upset at me. That's what you've been doing for the last 10 minutes with that.
There's a lot of hissing you could have been doing too.
Here's the fact of the matter. AJ Brown is a premier superstar wide receiver that is hard to come by in this league. He is a talent, an otherworldly talent, and he has shown that it doesn't matter through 3 weeks. So I will disclose that. It doesn't matter if it's Ryan Tannehill or if it's Jalen Hurts. The dude makes plays. I have watched the Philadelphia Eagles more than probably I ever have as far as my attention span to see what he's doing because he's an unbelievable player. I love his mentality. I love his mindset. I love that he is a pylon-seeking SOB. That's what he is. He doesn't care who gets in his way. He's trying to move upfield, and he's trying to gain yards. And I think that is and I will say this, it is a generational type talent to be able to do that consistently and have the success that he has. And then it's more difficult, Austin, and this is kind of where I'm getting to my point. Once that generational talent leaves, and DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel are all generational talents too, so AJ Brown is not the only one. Then you get left with Robert Woods, who is not that, and Treylon Burks is a young rookie that needs a ton of growth. He just needs growth, right? Time will tell what he becomes. So the Titans are 1-2 and the Eagles are 3-0. And you look across the way of what could have been and all the other scenarios that actually played out, like Deebo, like DK, of staying patient. And you sit there and you scratch your head. And I think that's what emotionally for a lot of fans, whatever side you're on, charges the AJ Brown situation. And it will dissipate, but right now it's hot.
Well, and Kenny on Facebook says, why is A.J. Brown so relevant on here all the time? You don't talk about any of former Titans like this. Well, we have in the past. We've talked about Jarrell Casey when he's talked about the Titans after getting treated like a piece of trash when they traded him away. But the reality is A.J. Brown keeps stepping in it. A.J. Brown keeps making this relevant by going on podcasts and bringing up the Titans and bringing up Mike Vrabel and doing things like that. A.J. is doing it. And people, I don't care what you guys say in the comments, that you can say you don't care, you moved on, all you want, but you do care because the analytics show the fact that you care. And so A.J. Brown keeps stepping in it, and Titans fans can't move on because A.J. Brown keeps bringing it back up. The scab won't heal. The scab keeps getting ripped off and blood keeps coming fresh. That's what the entire A.J. Brown thing is.
Well, and A.J. Brown single-handedly has more receiving yards through 3 weeks than the Titans' top 2 wide receivers.
Well,
so combined. No, sure. There's something there. One guy has more receiving yards through 3 games than the Titans' top 2 wide receivers that are – and A.J. Brown, I mean, you look at Devontae Smith's game against the Commanders, that makes it more difficult because the Titans are fighting for their lives. We talked about this. What did you rate this week's game on a scale of 1 to 10?
8 of importance.
8? Yeah, an 8 at importance in week 4. And so that's all of those things that matter. I do agree. AJ is pulling people back in left and right by going on Josina Anderson's podcast. But again, I stand pat. Everybody in this room, this virtual room, knows exactly where I stand. I thought the Titans should have never traded A.J. Brown. They should have gone through the draft. They should have gone through the draft and been patient. He would eventually talk to him because he was under contract, and they would eventually had to pay him. They didn't do that, and we're going to find out what happens.
Anthony says they asked A.J. a question also. Well, I've been at A.J. Brown media availabilities where he has refused to answer a question and say, I'm not talking about that anymore. and then Jonathan says, Austin, why can't you be like the Titans and ignore the analytics? Which is a great way to transition away from this because that's just a funny comment about the Titans not having an analytical staff. A to Z Sports here live on this Friday. Let's talk about Todd Downing and what happened yesterday at Titans press conference and media availabilities, where Teron Davenport flat out asked Todd Downing, what's your reaction to Titans fans calling you to be fired? But first, Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
FBHP.com/A to Z is where you need to go for your new health plan. I went there at the beginning of 2022, and I'm really glad that I did. So how this whole thing worked is we talked to Farm Bureau Health Plans about a partnership. We did not I didn't have a plan. Austin didn't have a plan. I was like, I'll volunteer. I would like a new plan, not knowing what it was going to be. If it was going to give me, if it was going to be less expensive, it was going to be more expensive. It was going to be better coverage. It was going to be worse coverage. I had no idea. But they felt confident that when I signed up, I would get better coverage, better rates, and better service. You know what? They were absolutely right on all 3 fronts. So when I say better rates, better coverage, better service, I am reaping those benefits. You can too, for you individually or for your entire family. If you're a young family, you've got multiple kids, it doesn't matter. They've got the perfect plan for you. You've just got to go online at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Also, don't forget, download the BetMGM app. Zach, you said you won a 1-game parlay last night with Thursday Night Football. Well, you can get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 when you sign up with a BetMGM app using our code ATOZ Sports. So do that today. We also have A to Z Sports Picks coming up today at 2 o'clock Central Time on these same channels. So Alan and Brian get you guys set up for college football and pro football this weekend. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued with knowledgeable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire in 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. Teron Davenport asked Todd Downing how he feels when he hears Titans fans call for his job. Here's the video.
Like all the things being said about the team, but as soon as there's a struggle offensively, they say, fire Todd Downing. When you're getting blamed for everything, like how do you handle that and just continue to keep your head down and do what you have to do?
Yeah, I will tell you very bluntly, I can't pay attention to all the stuff that's going on out there and all the opinions about me. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I respect the fact that people have jobs to do and people to find to place blame on and all that. I know that I'm responsible for the offense. I know that there are certain things that come with this role, responsibilities, critiques, and kind of constant evaluation that comes with this role. But I can't afford to let somebody else's opinion cloud what Coach Vrabel thinks of the job I'm doing, or what John Robinson thinks of the job I'm doing, or frankly, what the players in the locker room think of the job I'm doing. I owe it to them to give my best. And in that process, I really try hard to maintain my identity. I work my tail off, and I do it for a bigger audience than trying to get the praise of man. I don't really do this job to be celebrated in the media. I do this job so that I can be the man I'm called to be in the role that I have, and hopefully I can continue to improve in that at every turn and help get this offense where we want it to be.
So that's Todd Downing responding to a super direct question from Teron Davenport. So props to TD for asking that question in the press conference. And I do think Ben's comment here on YouTube says Todd Downing is one of the most mature and reputable men you'll hear. I mean, the fact of how he was able to handle that question with that level of humility was pretty impressive in my opinion. Zach, what do you think overall?
Yeah, look, I kind of take a similar approach. I don't care. Like I cannot care what everybody else thinks of me. They think I'm a bearded idiot. I've gotten that before. I'm a dumb SOB. I mean, you get called out. I've been. You've read them off, Austin. I should be fired, which that cannot happen because I own the company. So like that's that. But for Todd Downing, here's the facts. Okay. The offense ranks 26th in total offense. It ranks 22nd in scoring offense. If you are responsible for the offense, your offense needs to be better. And you don't get the benefit of the doubt because of what your offense was last year. Understand it was circumstance. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones were constantly hurt. Derrick Henry was out for the majority of the season after Indy. I get that. The playoff performance was not a well-designed performance, right? Brian Tannehill, Todd Downing, we've talked at length about that. I have no problem with what Todd Downing has to say. I try not to. I do not call for a lot of people's jobs. That's not my take. I will criticize, but I'm not sitting here and saying, fire that guy, fire him, fire him, fire. Other people in this market do, but I do not. That is not, and I don't think, Austin, you do that quite a bit. I don't think that's what our job is. When it gets to a point where people should be fired, we say it. But I think Todd Downing is taking the correct approach. Don't listen to the outside noise. Do the best job that you could do and let the chips fall where they may. He's in an industry where his ass is going to get fired eventually.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. So yeah. I think, I don't think any differently. Less, more, I think the same of Todd Downing after listening to that clip.
Yeah, and coaching, you get hired to get fired. Unless you're Nick Saban, who I don't think has been fired, and even Bill Belichick has been fired in the coaching profession. So, yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that he did apparently listen to the outside noise when we called for ditch the pitch, at least for one game. So there is some of that there.
I don't know if that was luck or listen.
I mean, we'll have to see. I am still very tuned in to the toss plays, what might or might not happen on Sunday in Indianapolis. But I get what he's saying and everything, and you can't act like that. You can only respond and, to how Mike Vrabel, his boss, thinks about how he's doing with his job. But I think the main aspect is that Todd Downing still is struggling as an offensive play caller for the Titans after 21 games as being a play caller. But at the same time, Sunday's second half 0-point output by the offense was not Todd Downing's fault, at least against the Las Vegas Raiders. He did some things in the first half against the Bills that were his fault. He did things in the second half against the Giants that were his fault, but not this Sunday. So I think Titans fans need to understand that and allow Todd Downing to evolve and allow people to change. And he ditched the pitch for at least 1 week, and he didn't have any stupid play calls against the Raiders, that you can flat out say that was a bad decision against the Raiders. So let's see what he does against the Colts, because the Titans need him to evolve, because I think we both agree that Todd Downing's not going to get fired in season unless something ridiculous outside of anybody's control really happens. He's probably not going to get fired for performance in season. And so
I don't want to say that. It's a long season. We've only played 3 games of the NFL season. Things can go really bad or things can go really good.
But it's unlikely that Mike Vrabel will fire a coordinator in season. We've seen Mike Vrabel stick tight with Shane Bowen through the worst third down defensive performance in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, but it comes down to games. I understand what you're saying, but it comes down to wins and losses, and it's a long season. So I'm never going to sit here and say that that's not going to happen. Things change in life and in football. And so, I just told you the 26th and 22nd in total offense and passing or in scoring offense, that is not going to continue. Austin, it always goes back to what I think this show has maintained of what we talked about of the structure of the Tennessee Titans. You have a defensive-minded head coach.
Yep.
You are going to go through the carousel of offensive coordinators. You're going to get good ones that get head coaching jobs like Matt LaFleur and Arthur Smith, and you're going to get bad ones like Todd Downing has been, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that he can't get better. So you're just kind of in that wave, but with a defensive-minded head coach, it ain't going to change.
And again, like you got on to me for talking about that a couple of years ago when Arthur Smith started slow, is that this is what you get when you hired Vrabel. That's why hiring a defensive-minded head coach has become a rare thing across the NFL, because you need the continuity between play caller and quarterback for teams to really succeed and sustain that success. Now, I do want to get to a comment here before we ask another question, because I did see Caleb says, LOL, Zach had to stop Austin from calling for Downing's job a week ago. All of a sudden, Austin is telling us we need to show patience. Okay, dude. Well, Caleb, if you listen to what I said a week ago, I said something needs to change. It can be as big as firing Todd Downing or as little as Tim Kelly becoming more involved.
I do think that you had an emotional driven rant in a post-game show to say that they need to fire him. So Caleb, I do hear that.
I think they're delaying.
You said what you said. So Caleb is correct.
I also said, I think that they're delaying the inevitable. Like, I believe that too. They're delaying.
I'm holding you accountable for Caleb of what he is saying.
No, but
it was emotionally driven, but you did say that. So but I do not label this show, regardless of what was said about Todd Downing. You've been wanting the Titans to fire Todd Downing for a while.
I do not think he should have been back. I think the opportunity to move
called
on
being
from him,
fired.
Right. I understand that. But based off of last year. Then what happened? Hold on. Let me defend myself a little bit. Because then what happened in the first game of this year, he had similar mistakes to what he did last season. So nothing changed. Then in week 2, he had some issues again with the toss plays that don't work. And then I said, something's got to change. It can be as big as firing him or as little as Tim Kelly being more involved. But I also understand, Zach, like what you said.
You did say that though. Admit that. And the best part is the question that we're going to ask is perfect for Austin Stanley today. It's perfect for the chat, but it is literally perfect to figure out where Austin is. My premise of what I said was this show does not represent fire everybody. I stand by. I'm out on Ryan Tannehill. I do not think he can win a Super Bowl. I think you're wasting time. I just don't think he has it in him. And until he proves me wrong, I will continue to say that. And I will never back down from that. But the fact is, Caleb is correct. You have asked for Todd Downing to be fired before. And I do think that your tune changed based on this past week and the improvement of the offense. It didn't change completely, but it did change. So this is why this question is perfect.
Then let's ask the question so Caleb can see exactly where I'm at, because Caleb was saying last week I called for his job when I said, no, last week I just called for something to change with the play calling. And they got rid of the pitch.
You have called for his job before though.
Yes, but Caleb said last week. I did not call for his job last week. I said something's got to change. Something's got to give. And
after the Buffalo game in the post-game show, you did. So
is that what kind of hiss is that?
It's your wrong hiss.
It doesn't sound like a hiss. Anyway, all right. So let's get to this question. Where are you with Todd Downing? Are you warming up? Are you still out? Or just fine? Are you warming up? Are you still out? Or are you just fine? But let me tell you guys about Hughes and Coleman, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation at 800-800-4600. They have recovered over $1 billion for their clients across the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky. So check them out whenever you've been injured in a car wreck. They can go fight for you against the insurance companies like they've done in the past for all their clients, because they have the resources, they have the assets to go get you every dollar you deserve after you've been injured in a car wreck. So don't go up against the insurance company by yourself. Go with our crew at Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers. That's 800-800-4600, principal office in Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports are powered by BetMGM. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. They are the king of the sports book. Go to your Apple or Android app store. It's Friday. You can get all set for this weekend by downloading the app, using that promo code. And for new users, you get a risk-free bet for your first bet up to $1,000. That is a deal. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports in the promo code tab, all one word, no spaces. They're the king of the sports book. Download BetMGM today.
All right, Titans fans, where are you with Todd Downing? Are you warming up, still out, or just fine? What is the chat saying, Zach?
I'll let you go to the chat because I'd like to see that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to the chat now. Let's see. I see CJ says very thin ice. Nick says out. G-Man says still out. He'd be terrible with any team, high school, college, or pro. Brent says still out. Darren says fire him. Facebook user who still does not have a name or a picture says big out. Ryan says out. Throw that 2-week-old spilled milk out. Kenny Hill just says trash can. Danny says after Buffalo, we all were bringing the pitchforks. Still out, says Jason. Scott says still out until I see continued improvement. Alex is out until he makes second half adjustments. Again, the Raiders game was not on Todd Downing. Like I can say that the Bills and Giants games were, and then the Raiders game was not. So David says still out. Marquis says out. So I mean, it seems like it's a lot of outs, Zach, is what I see. Where are you?
So I'm kind of in the same mode that I have been. Do I think Todd Downing is a good offensive coordinator? No, I do not. I just told you his stats of total team offense and total scoring through 3 games. He got blown out. You talked about the Giants and the Bills game. This is tough because I'm not necessarily warming up to him. I'm just like, I'm warm. Like I am the exact same position. I'm waiting. I think I'm here. I guess here's how I would assess it. I'm waiting for him to fail. I'm not waiting for him to improve. And so that, I think a lot of people are out and they're just fire him, get him out of here. It's only a matter of time. I think I'm waiting to see because I don't necessarily think that he has the capabilities. But here's my benefit. This is where I think I am separate than maybe a lot of the chat. I do think that the more time, if he gets this time, I think if they start losing games and they get out of the playoff race, that's where I do think that he will get fired. So that's why I'm not out on him being fired this season. I think there's a possibility of that. But learning more about Austin Hooper, learning more about Treylon Burks as he grows as a rookie, getting Robert Woods more involved like he did in the first half against the Raiders, and then Derrick Henry coming along. It's only a matter of time, if Derrick Henry is healthy, that he has a 157-yard game. And that 157-yard game is going to make Todd Downing's job a hell of a lot easier, right? So if you can stack those type of games, I am right where I'm not at a boiling point, but my water is warm. It's not ice cold, but that's kind of where I am with Todd Downing. But I'm not out. I've never completely been like fire his ass.
Yeah.
I haven't been that way.
So describe how you said you are with Ryan Tannehill.
I do not believe Ryan Tannehill can get this franchise and this team where it needs to go.
That's how I feel about Todd Downing. But you also understand that Ryan Tannehill's not going anywhere, right?
Well, no, not for this season. But I
Exactly.
do think that they thought about how they could shake up their quarterback situation in the offseason. I do not think that they did that with their offensive coordinator.
Sure.
That's
but,
the difference.
Again, that's not the point that I was bringing up, is that you don't think Ryan Tannehill can get the Titans there. I don't think Todd Downing can get the Titans there. So I am out on Todd Downing. I understand that he's not going to get fired really anytime soon. That's just not what Mike Vrabel does. And Mike Vrabel said that after the Bills game, that it's not the time to do that or talk about that, and we're not going to. That's something that Vrabel said the day after the Bills loss. But like the things that you mentioned, Zach, about, learning more about Hooper, getting Burks ready, having Henry back, and then you go back to last year of no Henry for 9 games because of the foot injury and a lot of other injuries and guys that weren't there. Like all those are like really convenient excuses to give. I'm not saying you're doing it, but they're convenient excuses for Todd Downing to not be held accountable. Because what Todd Downing said when Teron asked him the question is he's responsible for the offense. He's also responsible for getting Austin Hooper, Treylon Burks, and the offensive line and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill in the best position to succeed. And what I've seen over the time is that he doesn't do that consistent enough. Like doing a toss play to Derrick Henry is not putting the offense in a position to succeed. And you can say, well, the players didn't execute the play call. Well, if you know the players can't execute the play call, then don't call the play. Because if
I think that's the point of him figuring it out. He didn't pick any of these players, right? So he was thrown into.
When Dennis Daly is playing left tackle against the Buffalo Bills, who have a really good defensive front with first and second round picks all up and down that damn thing, don't call a sweep or a toss 3 times to the backup left tackle who joined the team 3 weeks ago. That's the reality. Dennis Daly joined the team 3 weeks before that game. And Todd Downing called 3 tosses to Derrick Henry against one of the better defensive fronts in football, who just sacked Matt Stafford 6 times with 0 blitzes. And he called the toss play 3 times behind Dennis Daly. What sense does that make?
Inexcusable. I understand that. They also, again, these are not excuses. I think that, again, this is Todd Downing's preseason with Ryan Tannehill and these new weapons. He didn't do that he didn't call a single play for Ryan Tannehill in the preseason. Not one. Tannehill did not take a single snap. So you've seen, I think, the ups and downs in 3 games of what this offensive is. I stand by the most logical thing that you could say about the Tennessee Titans. Todd Downing's job, Mike Vrabel's job, the offense's job is a lot easier and runs a lot smoother if Derrick Henry is running efficiently. If you pitch Derrick Henry the ball, that is a way for him not to run efficiently. So that is his fault.
Yes.
He didn't do that in this past game. It improved. Can you put 4 quarters together against Indianapolis live at Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday at high noon to win the football game and continue to create momentum within your offense? That's what I need to see for me to start warming up to Todd Downing.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to warm up, but I'm also going to understand when something is not his fault and when something might be his fault. And so I will continue to do that and be fair to Todd Downing. but I just don't think he.
So you are out.
Yeah,
So
I've said it all.
If you
Yeah,
are out, they need to get rid of him at some point.
Yes, but I also understand with Tannehill.
I think the same thing about Nate Tannehill. They're not getting rid of him.
They're not getting rid of Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback this year, and Todd Downing's the offensive play caller this year. But if you go back, Greg Cosell of NFL Film said after the loss to the Bengals that the Titans' offense was limited by pass game concepts. That's Todd Downing. Limited by pass game concepts is what Greg Cosell, who watches film for a living for 46 years, said about Todd Downing's offensive concepts. Limited. So they bring in Tim Kelly. It's been better, I think, but there are times where bad Todd Downing comes up in situational football that hurts the Titans, and I still feel like that's going to continue to happen throughout the year.
Yeah, and look, they've got a rocky road. After the bye week, the schedule ticks up, and teams get better. The Titans, including, good teams get better, bad teams get worse. Like the Commanders, they're going to get worse. The Texans, they're going to get worse. The Titans and some of those teams competing should get better, obviously barring injury. Like I said, Sunday is a big step forward for this offense, defense, and team as a whole if they can beat the Colts and set the tone in the division before facing the Jags twice and the Colts one more time.
Yeah.
And then here's the last thing. The Titans have to take care of business this year. They're not going to get the luxury of being able to lose to the Texans. They cannot lose to the Texans.
Well, they
that
lost
has to be
to the Giants.
too guaranteed.
They lost to the Giants. That's their Jets game.
Correct. They cannot have a Texans loss, though. They need to beat the Texans twice, and they need to beat the Washington Commanders in Washington. Those are the three things that must happen.
Real quick, that reminded me something. To follow up on a conversation we had yesterday about the last time a team won the division with 3 divisional wins.
Did
Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Michael for doing some crack research for us. So Michael said, did some digging from today's show about the division winners that only won 3 divisional games. The Rams last year only won 3 divisional games. Now, that's in the NFC West. That was a really good division last year. And so basically, if the Colts lose on Sunday, the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But there's been a few times where it's happened. The Rams went 12-5, won the division with 3-3 record. The Ravens in 2018 won the AFC North at 10-6, but a 3-3 divisional record. And the Seahawks in 2016, they won their division at 3-2-1, which is what the Colts would be, 3-2-1. Now there's an extra game in all this too. So, that does kind of change over that, but thanks to Michael for that research after the show yesterday.
And also Michael, because I saw that. That was cool. Also Kyle Griffin, aka KG. Yes. He was the guy. I got a DM with him recording on his laptop of you calling him out trying to do Oklahoma drills with KG. So you were like, KG, reveal yourself. It's Kyle Griffin. And I had a good laugh.
Yeah, and he said, "What's up?" And I can go look at KG's Instagram pictures, and I will say he's a big dude.
You want to buck up?
He's a big dude. KG's a big dude, but I'll still take him. I'll still draw it up. We'll see what happens. I feel confident in my abilities against KG. All right, let's get to good news to wrap up this week. But Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai, where you have your perfect make and model right around the corner. Quick trip down I-40, exit 236. I've test driven the Palisade, driven the Sonata, the Ioniq, which is battery powered, looks awesome. They have your perfect make and model. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or used vehicle, go to Wilson County Hyundai. Payne Bone and his team will hook you up with a great deal. They have been family owned and operated for years and years and years. And they're the epitome of somebody that you can go in there and trust. You can test drive a vehicle, like I said, get a feel on what it is. If you want to customize it, they can order it directly online from WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Their prices are better than downtown prices, right? I always compare that. It is the right decision if you're in the market for a new car. just go check them out and see their prices compared to the others. Mention A to Z Sports. You may get a better deal. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Download the BetMGM app, use our code ATOZ Sports, and you get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 when you do that. Also, we've got A to Z Sports Picks coming up with Alan Bell, Brian Edwards at 2 o'clock Central Time. And hey, I got an email about this from BetMGM. If you bet $100 on college football this weekend, then you get a $40 free bet. So I'm 30% there. I've got a parlay that I've already submitted earlier in the week, but I'm waiting to see what Alan and Brian have got for me with the A to Z Sports Pick show this afternoon before I fill out the rest of that. But go download the BetMGM app, use our code ATOZ Sports, risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. Ain't that good news on every Friday show to finish the weekend? Zach, I'll let you go to the chat. What is the good news from the people so far?
Well, this is a great way to start. It's kind of, there's bittersweet because Jake says, my mom's home in Fort Myers was destroyed by the hurricane, but good news, she's safe and in good health. So Jake, that is great news. Safety first. And, now as the dust has settled, as they say, on Fort Myers and some of the Florida area, I mean, that hurricane was devastating. And you just hope that you can kind of build back up the materials, but you can't build back out the lives. So we're glad that your mom is okay in that regard. Let's see. Ain't that good news? Tiffany got her hair did yesterday and now ready to shake something. So Tiffany's ready to roll. There's a Friday vibe right there.
I love the got my hair did. Not done. I love the hair did comment. Yes.
Tiffany's ready to rock. There you go. Jay says, my good news, Tuesday at his first colonoscopy and the lab report determined that has no polyps. There you go. That's a part of life. You need
Jay
to
getting real vulnerable with us there.
Right? We're talking. Oh, here's another health on health. Darren says baby girl is healthy, arriving in 3 weeks. So we wish you well, Darren. That's congratulations. It looks like from your profile, this is not your first rodeo. Danny says my baby brother and his wife had a healthy baby boy over the weekend. Oh, there we go. He and his mom are home doing well. Danny's 40 and first time being a legit uncle. Ain't that good news? That is.
What's an illegitimate uncle?
I do not know.
Is it like
that's kind of like my sister's husband's sister's husband.
Is it like if your best friend has a kid and that kid calls you uncle? Is that an illegitimate uncle? You know what I'm saying?
I do. I don't know. That's a good question. Jared says one of his best friends is getting married tomorrow. That's good news. Jacob says good news. 2 broken bones in his right foot. Might not need surgery. That's about as good as it gets. That's huge news. You always want to try to avoid surgery when you can. Kenyatta says, my good news this week, finally started gaining weight on a fast metabolism. Guess my age is helping there.
Well, be careful, Kenyatta. That's a slippery slope.
Kyle's going to leave in 2 hours for Palm Springs, so a little bit longer of a weekend. Ryan says, good news is Kentucky's going to drop Zach's Ole Miss boys. I don't think so, my friend. We'll see at 11 a.m. bright and early tomorrow.
What's your thoughts? Break down the game.
I will. Don't tempt me right there. I am looking forward to that game. Zach says, good news, starting to beat second seasonal allergies. Man, there's a ton of good news today.
There's a lot of
30-year-old high school reunion tonight for Justin. I've never been to a high school reunion. It didn't work. Like they tried to set it up and 4 people signed up. So I think you got to get a little bit further along.
10 years. Yeah, 10 years is too soon. 10 years is too soon. I didn't go to my 10-year, but yeah, too soon.
Austin, what is your good news?
My good news goes with somebody else. BK Titan, Hocus Pocus 2 comes out today. 90s kids rejoice. So what?
It's a sequel, right?
Yeah. But I'm curious, we are a Hocus Pocus family. And so that does come out tonight. So I know we're going to order food and watch that and drink a little bit, probably have some fun with Hocus Pocus 2. But my overall good news is the Vols are on a bye week and the weather is going to be the perfect type of fall.
I thought we said no good news weather.
Did we?
Yeah.
No, I thought we said no good news allergies. No, I'm talking about
I
fall
guess
activity.
those go hand in hand. I guess, yeah, that's how I think about it.
No,
Because the allergies is due to the weather.
Yeah, well, but that's I'm fixing my seasonal allergies, all my shots. But no, it's the fall activities that we're gonna get to do out in the fall weather. It's going on dog walks where you don't have to worry about the dogs getting overheated. It's everything about it. We're gonna have I think we're gonna do a bonfire in the backyard this weekend because we haven't been able to do that because it's too freaking hot. And so that's my good news is that the fall weather this weekend is bringing on fall activities that we haven't been able to do in a long time.
There you go. I'm not a fall guy. I'm a summer guy, but I think most people are fall people. Wouldn't you agree?
I like all seasons to an extent.
But people, you like fall, correct?
Yes, love fall. Love it.
Yes. If you poll people, I feel like more people are pro fall. I'm not pro fall.
I love summer up until August. I'm like, all right, I'm over this stuff. Like, it's too damn hot now. I love spring. I think the thing about spring and fall, why people love it is because it's so short. You don't get enough of it. Like, we get a lot of winter and a lot of hot summer, but we don't get a lot of spring and fall. So that's why people like spring and fall.
So 2 bits of good news. First good news, and this is for everybody. I don't know what the hell is going on, but my internet blows. It's no good. And so today I'm getting that fixed. That should be good news for everybody. I have no idea, right? It's like the mystery of the world. But here's another thing. Have you ever, and I'm glad that it wasn't mentioned on today's show yet, because I wanted to save this. Have you ever lost an article of clothing for an extended amount of time and then found that article of clothing, but you had written it off? Have you ever done that? Like a t-shirt or something. Like, so I'll let you think about that. My good news is I found 3 shirts that had fallen at the bottom of the drawer at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And I thought they had gotten lost forever. One was a LeBron Lakers shirt, which is a really sweet shirt. The other one was a Buck shirt. And the third shirt was the real OG A to Z Sports shirt. I thought this had been lost forever, so I washed this bad boy. This tells you how far that we've come. Look at the original logo and you can kind of tell the story of who stitched this on.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, we needed shirts. Why don't you just put ATOZ Sports? So as we grow, hopefully this will be, I don't know if it will be worth anything one day, but this is the real OG A to Z Sports shirt. And I found not only this one, but the blue one as well.
You found both of them?
I'm bringing it back.
Both of mine are hanging. The shirt you're wearing, I loved it. I thought it was great. Now, my aunt stitched that on for us because we were going down to SEC Media Days and we needed something like immediately. And so we went to like the sporting goods store and bought those. And then she stitched them on real quick because she's really talented at that. And so, yeah, there we go. So I haven't worn mine in a long time, but they're in my closet hanging up. I see every once in a while I'll scroll back. I'm like, oh man. But no, I don't think I've ever lost a article of clothing and then found it. Like, I know there was one of my favorite button downs that I had in my mid 20s. I went to Atlanta to see a buddy who was in law school at the time, and I left it there and I just kissed it goodbye. I was like, I know where it is. Like, I know he still has it. There's just no chance that I get it because I think he lives in LA now. But like, I just knew it was over, and I quickly moved on emotionally from it.
Yeah, and I think Demetrius brings up this, and I think Donald also does too. Once we start our merch, once we start growing some merch, a little bit more merch, a part of our company, we have A to Z Sports throwbacks. I think these would be sweet to be able to sell. So that may be in the ringer. That same thing happened to me, Austin. Tebow weekend when Ole Miss beat Florida in the swamp. I went down there to visit, and I lost my favorite shirt that I've ever had of all time, and I left it at I cannot remember his name. The dog's name was Dulce, though. She was a boxer. She was the most beautiful boxer I've ever seen. And I left that T-shirt. I think about that T-shirt often. But this is a great news that you find T-shirts that had been lost for years and you can still rock them.
The biggest bummer about that shirt that I left in Atlanta was that was the shirt I was wearing when my wife and I first hung out. The first time we ever hung out, I was wearing that shirt. And we had been dating for like 2 years when I lost it. So I was like, it's okay. We're good. But
you got her, right?
Yeah, we're good. We got it. But that was so that shirt's gone. But I would, it's not my style now anyway. That was a couple fashion statements ago.
Shout out to guys. Good news today. A lot of good news.
Good news was heavy.
So bravo to the chat.
Good news was very heavy. Oh yeah, Kevin Byard. Congrats to Kevin Byard, who's officially having his MTSU jersey number 20 retired tonight at Floyd Stadium in Murfreesboro. Who, coming off of a beat down of the Hurricanes, that was awesome. And then everything that Coach Rick Stockstill said after that beat down of Miami was just gold. It was fantastic. He was like, we got paid $1.5 million to go down there and hold them to 1.9 yards a carry. I was like, that is the best thing you could possibly say.
It was a butt whooping. You can't sum it up any other way.
Yeah. So props to KB, who's going to have a great night before the Titans head to Indianapolis. And we will see you guys tomorrow, I guess Sunday, for A to Z Sports Titan Game Day Live, the pregame show at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So get ready for that. 30 minutes before kickoff, we'll do our pregame show presented by the NoDat app. So download the NoDat app today, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Appreciate it as always.